Let's look at, first and foremost, give our praise to Yahweh Shem Yahshua and give us a sincere greeting to the brothers and sisters scattered across the four corners, teaching this word with sincerity and charity. Let's look at Acts 21. There is also a consensus amongst Israel that Peter and James were fighting. I even had a brother reach to the extent of seeing documents or seeing, outside sources, outside biblical sources, that was saying that Paul actually killed James and threw him down the stairs because of this incident that went on in here in Acts 21. And so I really just want to get to the meat and potatoes. I don't want to make this a long video. We're going to start at 21 and 16. 21 and 16. It says, there went with us a certain of the disciples of Caesarea, and brought with them one Nansen of Cyprus, an old disciple, with whom we should lodge. And when we were come to Jerusalem, the brethren received us gladly. Okay, the brethren received us gladly. Verse 18, and the day following, Paul went in with us unto James, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things God had worked among the Gentiles by his ministry. And when they heard it, they glorified. And so we see that, in Acts 13, we just read that. If you've seen the class prior, Acts 13, we was just reading about how these things went on, how Israel rejected the gospel. They rejected Christ. Paul gave them a reminder even after Stephen gave them a reminder, gave them another breakdown to try to help them see Christ, help them get the forgiveness of sins. They rejected it. Lo, we go to the Gentiles. And so, so now he's saying in verse 19, he says, when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things God had worked among the Gentiles by his ministry. And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, thou seest how many thousands of Jews that there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law. Okay, and they are informed of thee, that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses. Okay, so now they're answering. He told them what particular thing he did among his ministry in the Gentiles, and then they come back and he says, and when they heard it, they glorified the Lord, and they said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews which are believed, and they are zealous. They are all zealous for the law. You got these folks that believe, but they're extra zealous. They're zealous for the law. Okay? They are informed of thee, and it's very important that he has that there. They're zealous for the law. These particular ones, all right, these thousands of Jews which are zealous for, they have heard that what? They are informed that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither walk after the customs. What is it therefore? All right, and so what is it therefore? What does that mean? What is it therefore? Is he asking Paul to give an answer? Is that the language that's happening right there? And that's why we have to use comparative text, because we don't speak the old English. We got to stop being prideful, man. What is it therefore? What does that mean? What does that mean? What is it therefore? What is the truth? And so, if we look at comparative text, what is it therefore can be translated to what should we do? What should we do about this situation? All right. The multitude, watch this, the multitude must needs come together, for they will hear that thou art come. All right, comparative text. They will certainly hear that they will come, but the multitude got to come. I mean, we got to come together on this thing. We need to come together on this thing. What should we do, man? Like, what does the multitude must come together, for they will hear what you have done, man. What, you know what I'm saying? They shall hear, Shalakia, for they shall hear that thou art come. Do therefore this that we say to thee. We have 4 men which have a vow on them. Them take and purify thyself with them, and be at charges with them, that they may shave their heads, and all may know that those things which thereof they were informed of thee are nothing, but thou thyself also walketh orderly and keepeth the law. As touching the Gentiles which believe, we have written and concluded that they observe no such thing, save only that they keep themselves from the things offered to the idols, and from blood, and from strangled, and from fornication. Okay, and so we see that, let's say, listen, man, we got to do this, and this right here will appease them. And this also happened with Timothy. He did certain things he circumcised Timothy to appease the Jews. Those who are zealous for the law. He did that same thing there. And so now he said, take this vow, and this will prove that you keepeth the law. Not that you teacheth Gentiles to keep the law. Not that you teaching Jews to break the law, but that you not only do you teach that they should keep the law, but you also teach it that you also keep the law. But for the Gentiles, they ain't got to do that. And that's what Paul is teaching. He's teaching that so Paul is in full agreement with what James is saying. What James has come up with. Like, there's no argument. There's no back and forth here. If it is, and it is an argument about him teaching Gentiles, why isn't Paul saying something? Why isn't Paul really getting going back? Why is he going through this thing to try to prove this thing to these Jews? But he's not, because James already told him, listen, what you teaching about the Gentiles ain't got to do it. You're exactly right about that. But what's happening is that just like, synagogues that we seen in Acts 13, there are Jews there and there are Gentiles there. They are both there. And when he's having a message and he's declaring the message of Acts 15, the Jews are hearing that and saying, you know what? He's telling these folks they ain't got to keep this stuff. He's telling the Jews also. And they they already have a spirit on them where they don't want Paul to be leading these folks. They don't want Paul to be leading no multitude, just like they didn't want Christ doing it. All right. And so there was not a fight against those disciples, against Paul and James. And Paul definitely didn't kill no James. And so I don't see the fight there. Israel, we got to stop saying that and stop trying to put this thing like it was some beef there. The only beef is with our understanding. That's the only beef that's there. They knew exactly what Paul was teaching. And if Paul was teaching something else, they would have told you. You would have seen it clearly in the text. You would have seen it chastening clearly in the text. So, there was a checking of, and I ain't going to even necessarily say it's a checking, because I say a lot of times we put our own tone on the text, and sometimes our tone because of our hearts, because of hatred in our hearts. For Paul, our tone can be wrong. Or not just Paul, but for Peter, for the New Testament, or, for Gentiles, our tone can be different, and we'll be reading this thing with our hearts instead of reading it with the heart of Paul, or reading it with the heart of David, and so forth. So I hope this thing was edifying to the body, man. Hit the comments. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, share these things, man, so Israel can talk about it, so we can get down to the bottom of the, get down to the bottom of the matter, man, so we can really see if that, if it's any validation to those claims that James is actually and was killed by Paul, or James and Paul are having some kind of dispute here in Acts 21. I don't see it, and if y'all see it, man, show me where it's at. Show me that in the verse. I know there was Paul having to say something to Peter about, being a little hypocritical between the Gentiles and the Jews. But again, It's another stance of Jews, believing Jews, trying to appease those Jews that are zealous for the law, and that will probably, try to bring some persecution to those individuals who believing in Christ and doing certain things with these Gentiles. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom. I hope this thing was edifying, y'all. Peace and blessings.